Hi, I'm Kylie and welcome to this week's episode of Money, 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 where we cut out the jargon and talk about all things financial. Welcome to this episode of Money, Money, Money. We had a young man come into our office the other day and he was a little concerned about what had happened in regard to his credit report. He'd found out that he had a default listed and he also didn't understand what a credit report was and the ramifications of having this default. So to help us explain that today, I have with me industry veteran and expert, Ray Hare. Thanks for joining us, Ray.
Thanks, Kylie.
Can you explain firstly, what is a credit report?
Okay, so a credit report is really a person's history in terms of the credit they've applied for. So if they've sought a loan or a department store credit card or car loan or even one of those interest-free type offers that
mobile
currently,
phone?
a mobile phone, anything where they are required to pay at a later time.
So pay back money.
Exactly.
Yep.
So the credit report, therefore, is a history of inquiries around that. So have I sought credit, or if I've got credit, how's my track record? And of course, it also talks about that person's stability. So what jobs they're in, where they've lived, what names they may have had. So it's really, from a lender's point of view, a snapshot of that person in terms of what do we know about them.
How do they get that information? Because for them to know, like my maiden name, what jobs I've been in, where I've lived, how do they actually obtain that?
Okay, so every time what I would call a credit provider, so someone who's giving you goods or services to be paid for at a later time, anytime that's being provided, that history or experience is being reported by that store or that lender or that utility company, telephone company, internet provider, that's reported through into the central agency for the credit reports.
Okay, and so from there they collate all of that information and they're able to give a good picture.
It's a snapshot.
A snapshot of somebody. And that's quite important, isn't it? So that when you are applying for credit, so credit, again, we just want to go into, it's any type of credit facility that you enter into where you have to pay money back. Now, I know not all bills, so like a Synergy here in WA, so a electricity bill or a gas bill, they're not all listed as taking credit, but they will show up on a default if you've run into problems with it. So they are complex, and it's a really good idea to get a copy of your own credit report to have a look at so you can actually follow through what we're talking about.
Yes, I would suggest that anybody who is looking to, thinking about financing a house in the future would want to understand what their current credit report looks like. If they've had any late payments or defaults on electricity, gas, telephone, mobiles, internet, etc. Those defaults can be reported if they go beyond a certain point. So it's not just about the fact you've paid it late, but if you've failed to pay it or it's gone for an extended period, then that will be reported. And when you're subsequently applying for a loan, that's going to be taken into account because it reflects poorly on that individual's character.
And telecommunication companies, so mainly mobiles.
Yeah, it's the most common one.
It's the most common one. I know when one of the phone companies here, there was huge problems. Clients just stopped paying their bills. They actually put them straight onto their credit reports, and it had major ramifications. Some people's bills were $1,500. They'd gone on for months and months and months. And it did affect their ability down the track to do anything, but they were locked in a dispute with the actual telecommunications company. So while the dispute was going on, the client didn't realise that it had actually been put straight onto their credit report and caused huge problems.
It's an unfortunate consequence. You are much better served to pay the amount that's owing and then dispute it than to not pay it whilst you're disputing it, because once it's on your credit report, it's quite difficult to get removed. And it does have consequences for up to 7 years.
Yeah, so it sits there from 5 to 7 years generally.
Exactly.
And again, like you said, it's very difficult to get them removed. Where do you go to from there?
Well, and that's your problem. You're then in a situation where you've got this adverse history, it's reported, it's going to come to the notice of any other party or where you're trying to apply for credit, take an interest-free period, store credit cards, etc. It's going to come up in the assessment of that application.
Yeah. And those interest-free cards, they can be a real trap as well, can't they?
Absolutely.
You need to pay them back in the allocated time, firstly, because if you don't, the interest rate is generally astronomical at the end of it. And you often find you don't have the ability to repay it at that time, and then bang, straight onto your credit report once again.
And I think people misunderstand. They're buying their plasma TV, their dishwasher, their fridge, whatever it may be, their furniture. They're buying it on these interest-free terms. They're not understanding they actually are entering into a loan contract at that point.
Yeah, and that's the important part. It's a contract that you've entered into that sounds great, and all you focus in on, and I've done it myself, is the words interest-free.
Absolutely.
And you are in a contract, and it can affect you. And also the amount of times that you apply for credit can also affect you, can't it? Because there's, banks don't like to see too many in a set period of time. So when does that get put onto your credit report? Is it?
So it's at the point where you're actually applying for credit and they start to make that inquiry about your other debts or
Other
track
facilities,
record, and then they will report that inquiry. And if, as you said, many lenders view suspiciously, for want of a better word, multiple credit inquiries, because it kind of says, hey, this person either can't get credit or indeed is looking to take out multiple facilities and therefore may overcommit themselves.
So the thought that you can apply for lots of credit because that'll help you, because it gives you a track record, is actually incorrect.
Absolutely. Having a loan that is repaid on time and having that track record is great. Having multiple inquiries without actually proceeding is actually probably not a good idea.
Yeah. This whole subject around credit reporting, we could talk for hours on it, and I think we'll lead into more videos down the track about different consequences, including the classic that we actually had in our office the other day, which was, it's okay if I don't make the repayments on my personal loan because friends of mine at a barbecue last week told us we'd just go bankrupt and then in 5 years we're free. That's a definite no-no.
It's not as simple as that.
And that'll lead into a whole another topic.
Absolutely.
One of the things we do stress at the local loan company is we encourage our clients every 12 months to 2 years to obtain a credit report on themselves. It's free if you wanted to go by snail mail, so it'll take about 10 to 15 days to get to you, or you can pay to have it automatically done. But it's a great idea to keep a check on exactly how your credit report is looking. Sometimes things get put on there in error and you need to deal with it before you go applying for any more credit.
Absolutely.
So thanks for today, Ray. I think we've only just scratched the surface, and we'll come back with another episode of Money, Money, Money on this very topic. Thanks for watching Money, Money, Money. If you liked this video, hit the red subscribe button. If you'd like to know more information, you can follow us on Facebook or go to our website, linked in the information box below.